This is KTVO's Good Morning Heartland.
And welcome back. We hear a lot about cholesterol from our doctors and the health community at large. So today we have Dr. Puckett here to break it down for us. How are you doing today?
Doing well, thank you.
So we hear a lot about how cholesterol is bad for us. So why do we have cholesterol in our body?
Well, cholesterol is a critical ingredient to life. It's a part of all of our cells in our body. We use it to make almost all of our hormones. So it's really important that we have some cholesterol. It just needs to be the right type and in the right place.
All right, so when we get our cholesterol checked, what are the items measured and what do they mean?
Well, on a normal lipid profile, we check the bad cholesterol, the LDL, and we want that to be less than 130 for young, healthy people, less than 100 for people with a few risk factors, and if you have have had a previous heart problem or diabetes, then less than 70. Our HDL, which is the good cholesterol, is also measured, and that we want it to be as high as we can get, but at least greater than 50 in women and 40 in men. And then the last piece of that is the triglycerides, and those are those sugary fats that come from the things that we eat primarily, and they're kind of the active form of cholesterol moving around in our blood that we use for energy, and we want those to be less than 150. And then from those three numbers, we can calculate total cholesterol and a whole bunch of other percentage numbers, but those are the things that are measured.
So let's talk about the advanced lipid testing. What is that all about?
Yeah, there's some new testing that's out on the market now that's done in an NMR machine, and so it's kind of we call it advanced because it gives us more information. So there's a few key things that these tests can tell us about cholesterol. One is, if you think about a bad cholesterol in your bloodstream and it's kind of bouncing around in the artery as it travels around, it has to hit and it has to stick in order for it to transfer the bad cholesterol and cause a plaque. And so it needs a little piece of Velcro called an ApoB molecule. It's a part of that cell wall of that bad cholesterol. And we can measure that now. And so we can see how sticky. So you may have a cholesterol that's 110 and mine may be 110, but if mine is super sticky, then my 110 is much more damaging. We also can check particle size, and if again thinking about those cholesterol molecules bouncing around, if they're little bitty tiny and they hit that wall, they can do more damage in the artery than if they're big and fluffy. I kind of like to think about it like 5-gallon buckets. If your bucket is full to the 110 line and mine's full to the 110 line, but my bucket's full of BBs and your bucket's full of ping pong balls, that's two totally different buckets, even though they're full to the same line. So the stickiness and how big those particles are, the particle size is important. Then we also can tell some extra stuff about your good cholesterol, the HDL. We can tell how big they are. And we want the good cholesterols to be big because we want them to, whenever they stick, that they can pull lots of stuff out. Because the bad cholesterol sticks, squirts the cholesterol into the artery. The good cholesterol comes along and sticks, and then it vacuums it all out. So it's kind of this constant turnover, and so you just want to make sure that you're taking as much out as you're putting in. Also, when we measure those good cholesterol, we can tell if there are the size and then also the amount of the load that they can carry. So I like to talk about them like pickup trucks. We can look at the HDL particle size and tell if the number of those and how much room there is in the bed of the pickup truck. And then we have some special good cholesterols called HDL2s, and those are like dump trucks. So the more of those you have, the more protection you have. So all this added insight. Oh, and I forgot about the ApoA1, which is how sticky the good cholesterol is. So we can tell how sticky the bad, how sticky the good. So there's a whole lot of things where we can really tell you a whole lot more about the cholesterol and the impact that it could have on your health.
So really quickly, I know that there's a lot of medication out there to help lower your cholesterol. What are some ways that people can lower their cholesterol without medication?
It goes back to diet and exercise. A lot of times people think, and I think one thing that we've kind of misled the public on in this country over the last several decades is that we need to eat less fat, and that if we eat less fat, and it's true, trans fat is bad, but really where the trouble comes in is our body can take carbohydrates, sugars, and make it into cholesterol as quick and easier than it can actually fat. So really, if you're looking at lowering your diet, going on a strict carbohydrate limit is going to give you more benefit even than limiting the fat.
Interesting. Now, when you associate cholesterol, a lot of people think that older people get it, but there's instances where somebody my age needs to keep their cholesterol in check as well. Is that true?
Yeah, the guidelines, depending upon who you look at, vary a bit, but anybody over the age of 18 should probably have a one-time screen just to kind of see where you're at. And then if you have any abnormalities on a basic lipid profile, then asking about getting advanced testing is an option. Also, if you have any strong family history, then you might want more frequent testing.
Okay.
And then just again, based upon risk factors, we can kind of set up the timeline that you ought to be having that check, something you can work out with your doctor.
All right, fantastic. What we'll do is we'll post all of this on our website at heartlandconnection.com, as well as Dr. Puckett's information with Complete Family Medicine. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks.
And we'll be right back.